You ever sit down and try to create content and just feel stuck? Maybe you've got ideas, they're all tangled up in your head, and suddenly the whole process feels impossible. I'm I've been there, I am there. It just happens. If you don't know me, I'm Dana, bald dude, big bald design, whatever you want to call me. Um, I like to help people out there, get their heads into action. And I built a career without any experience, without any related industry knowledge, with no college education, and got into a high paying career. And I just really would like if everybody else could see that there is some truth to that and you can do it as well. So I'm on this mission to kind of educate people and getting people into, hopefully a high paying, skill based career, because I just believe that skills are the future and skills over degrees. So today, we're diving in to a simple content creation strategy that I like to use lately. I've been over strategizing things and kind of just getting lost in the sauce with research and strategy. So I'm really just trying to simplify things because I tend to overcomplicate things. So if you also do that, let me know. I hope I'm not alone. I would assume I'm not alone. Let's talk about overthinking. I've tried every perfect content strategy out there. I've paid for tutors, mentors, lessons. Everybody has a different strategy, and that is fantastic when you're trying to learn. But at some point, you're going to have all these things in your head, and it just does not do an overthinker justice. It just you're drowning in a deep pool. So most of those just left me overwhelmed, frustrated, and staring into a blank abyss whenever trying to create content, of course. So that kind of sucked. But eventually, I found two approaches that have been, I've been getting some juice out of lately, and it's been helping me. And they're simple and they're sustainable, and they've saved my brain from exploding a few times. So stay tuned. Strategy one, here we go. Numero uno, write from your own experiences. Especially if you're teaching, you can't teach someone an experience or a skill that you haven't fully gone through yet, is what I've definitely learned. You'll get lost in trying to create content and research things because you don't necessarily know it enough, you just haven't experienced it enough, and that's fine. But be realistic. And if you're getting writer's block every time you're trying to create a technical article or analytical article or something like that, or piece of content, whatever you want it to be, if you're getting stuck all the time, it's probably not a good sign. So start with what you know. Think about stories, lessons, or small moments that stuck with you. For me, it's that I feel like I was unable to ever get a good job or make good money, and here I am now because I took some crazy leap in 2020, and so I'm passionate about that. And so I'm going to talk about that. And there's your example. It could be anything really. So why does that work, right? Because you're not researching, you're not guessing. You already know the content, and you can tell this realistic, and I know this is a buzzword, but authentic story. Which I agree, I do love a good story. I love crying to a good movie. Um, you know, all of that stuff. So, because you're not doing all of these extra things, you're saving time. You can just skip the overthinking and write. So, what I'll do is I'll write down my article, and then after that, I will then go through and just have Grammarly check it, make sure I didn't fuck anything up too bad. And if I need to add specific points to back up statements, I will go search that with ChatGPT. I will go Google that. I will go find things and place it into there, but not to the point where I'm relying on AI to generate the content completely, because that has just made me dumber. I feel like sometimes it's like leached out this creativity that used to be in my brain. And so I'm really trying to simplify that and not rely on that so much, and just kind of go for it. So this one strategy, once you adopt this kind of mindset of just writing down ideas that you're going through that pertain to this topic that you're writing about or creating about, it's an easy mindset. And if you're not entertained even by like thinking about those things or coming up with topics or even keeping a little note on your phone when you write down your ideas, if that doesn't sound like fun to you, then maybe you should think about what you're doing. So that's step number one. Write from your own experiences. Try that if you're stuck, and if you're writing about something that doesn't even pertain to you, or maybe you don't even enjoy it at all, maybe this is a good wake-up call for you. Figure it out. Strategy number 2 is called creative borrowing. And I like that term because it sounds more, I don't know, debonair, maybe? I don't know. But really, what the point of this strategy is to borrow ideas from the best and put your own spin on them. And, let's be honest, like coming up with ideas from scratch is hard. Instead, what I've been found working really well for me is subscribe to newsletters that are in the same area that you are marketing in or creating content in. For me, it's solopreneur, entrepreneur. It's a lot of like career changing, self-improvement type of things. And then I try to spin things that sometimes have no relation just to see if it like grabs attention, You tell me if I'm wrong or right on that, but I don't care. And like, for instance, Japan was creating a 3-day weekend for its government employees. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. How can we spin that for career changing and jobs and, entrepreneur and just things like that? And I'm just like having fun and kind of putting my own twist on that. And maybe someday someone will appreciate how this like crazy bald head, wow. You know what I mean. So why does this work? So I'm subscribed to these newsletters, comes into my Gmail. Holy shit, yes, it is a lot of emails. I've tried to reduce that, so just be careful when you're doing this. Just take a couple, sample size those for like a week, see if you like it, unsubscribe if you don't. I recommend sorting the emails that come in and putting a filter on there that says to mark them as like a specific tag or put them on read, because sometimes it'll just get overwhelming with how many unread messages you have start piling up, because I have a lot. I can't even make it through all the ideas. So don't do what I did. So this is good for skipping that overthinking, but be careful because you may get caught in like, oh my God, I've got so much shit piling up. Like, what do I do? Like, what really helps me is just thinking about my core pillars. What are those? Or like, what are these core things that I want to write about this week? Or what will career changers find the most beneficial or interesting? It really depends like who you're writing for, I would say. So do think about that. And now I always have this list that's building in my email whenever I need to go and reflect on it. It has current things going on there. If I'm obviously being good about checking these and creating content really quickly, it'd be great for short form content if you really want to do that. Writing or video. It's great. Just be careful. Just make sure you keep your twist on them and you're not copying them. But there's a lot of creators out there that do this, and I just found it worked well for me, having newsletters come in so I can reference this and have up-to-date information in my niche. And after that, things do become a lot easier, and it's really not about copying. It's about building on ideas that work and making them your own. I know we're trying not to sound like robots, and AI, and that we're just a copy of a copy of a copy of. Just make sure you're not doing that, because that's something I kind of worry about. Is like, maybe one day we're all going to sound the same. That sounds awful. So don't be that guy. All right, overthinking's still going to happen. Try not to panic. You don't want to lose your hair like I did, because you're always just overthinking shit into oblivion. That sucks. So even with all these cool strategies, you're still going to get stuck. And here's two things that help snap you out of it, I guess, whenever you're, in one of those moments. So what really helps me sometimes is time boxing brainstorming. So give yourself a limit, no more endless scrolling or second guessing. When I'm going through and let's say I'm creating a week's worth of content, I will try to do that in one sitting now, and I'm really trying to get good at seeing, okay, how long does it take me to get the most, get all of my pieces of content out for the week. So if it takes 3 hours, 4 hours to write 7 pieces of short form, I'm going to try to stick to that on average, and I can now know what I need to stick by. Maybe I should speed that up, slow it down. It's really just all about tracking and time boxing, so you're not just going and going and going. There's an off switch. And the second piece, which sounds silly, but take breaks. Seriously, stepping away for, maybe 5 minutes, it's going to reset your brain. And a lot of people would recommend that, even the professionals out there. And I'm not a professional, but I can tell you it's good for your brain. It's good for your eyeballs. It's a good just reset if you've been going for hours. I know for me, I kind of, I work a full-time job, and then I try to have fun and create content and do things. And that's that's 7 days a week, really, and there's no off switch. So take breaks. I'm telling you. So now it's go time, baby. It's your turn. So I want to know what's your go-to strategy whenever you're trying to think of ideas, when you're creating content, or anything similar to this. Like, do you time box things when you're working? I'd really love to hear what works for you, and swap ideas, and we can overthink each other into oblivion. But the point is, we all like thinking about strategy. It's just we got to know when to put it into action. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Peace out.